Hi everyone. Today I'm going to be listening to an artist whose name I actually know, and I can even link it to a specific song because I'm familiar with a song called Alleluia, and I know that it was composed by Leonard Cohen. I don't think that I've ever heard it actually sung by him, but I guess you could say I've heard various covers of it in various contexts. I even heard somebody once try to do a rewriting of the lyrics to make it suitable for church service. And I've heard harpists talk about how sometimes, occasionally, they will hear the original lyrics sung in church and they roll their eyes and say, "What are people thinking?" Anyway, so I'm familiar with the song Alleluia, although I don't believe I've ever heard it sung by Leonard Cohen, but I do know his name through that song. So this is going to be a special weekend of Leonard Cohen. And the first song I'll be listening to is going to be one entitled Suzanne. And I'm very curious because I have heard that one song. I'm familiar with the melody and passingly familiar with the lyrics as well. I'm curious to see how much of the style of that song do I discover in the songs I'll be listening to this weekend, starting off with this one, Suzanne. So don't forget, you can always check out my Ko-fi and Patreon pages for extra goodies, special events, things like a weekly live gathering where we all listen and discuss music together. It's a lot of fun. And exclusive content, which I can't put on YouTube because of copyright issues, YouTube's copyright rules. And you're welcome there to join us. Let me see what I have here to read about with Leonard Cohen. Learn a little bit more background. Leonard Norman Cohen was a Canadian singer-songwriter, poet, and novelist. He was inducted into the Canadian Music Hall of Fame, the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame, and the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He was invested as a Companion of the Order of Canada, the nation's highest civilian honor. In 2011, he received one of the Prince of Asturias Awards for Literature and the 9th Glenn Gould Prize. Well, that's something. I didn't realize he was Canadian, but I guess Canada must have good reason to be proud of him. Cohen pursued a career as a poet and novelist during the 1950s and early 1960s, and did not begin a music career until 1966. Well, so that means that he put a lot of time into studying the musical qualities of words before he actually started dealing with the music itself. I'm intrigued by that, and I guess I will expect some very musical poetry. In 2023, Rolling Stone ranked him number 103 in their 200 Greatest Singers of All Time list. First published as a poem in 1966, Suzanne was recorded as a song by Judy Collins in the same year. So Cohen's version is a cover, we could say. Perhaps? And Cohen performed it as his debut single from his 1967 album, Songs of Leonard Cohen. So, let me get this right. Cohen wrote it as a poem. And then somebody else, Judy Collins, turned it into a song. And then Cohen took that and performed it as his debut single. Interesting little development there, isn't it? Cohen's recording was released as a single in 1968, but did not reach music charts. The song only charted after Cohen's death in 2016. Far Out and American Songwriter ranked the song number 4 and number 2, respectively, on their lists of the 10 greatest Leonard Cohen songs. In 2021, it was ranked at number 284 on Rolling Stone's top 500 greatest songs of all time. Seems a lot of these rankings put Cohen kind of in the middle. I'm noticing 284 top 500 greatest songs of all time, and then 103 in 200 greatest singers of all time. Sort of a middle of the road ranking, isn't it? Of course, that doesn't say much really, because it all depends on context and individual ways of relating to music, but he must be pretty decent, right? Let's see what he sounds like.
Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her, and you know that she's half crazy, but that's why you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China.
Nice.
And just when you mean to tell her that you have no love to give her, then she gets you on her wavelength, and she lets the river answer that you've always been her lover. And you want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you know that she will trust you, for you've touched her perfect body with your mind. And Jesus was a sailor.
So I said that I was curious to see whether there were certain elements in these songs this weekend that I recognize from Alleluia. And yes, absolutely. I'll say more about that maybe at the end, because I don't want to make this purely a comparison between the two. But this has a lovely flowing, we could say river flowing quality, doesn't it? The rippling, and you're just carried along with the current, and you're almost hypnotized into this experience. As the lyrics are saying, what is it? You mean to tell her that you have no love to give her, but then she gets you on her wavelength, and by that time, you've lost it. I mean, you're gone. You want to travel with her. The river answers for you. You want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you know that she will trust you, for you've touched her perfect body with your mind. And I said also in the introduction that I was curious, that I would be looking for poetry. And this is clearly poetry. It's very descriptive. And even if I were to read this out loud without the music, it would ripple and it would flow and it would carry you along. It would wrap its web around you and wind you up and set you afloat on this river. It's that kind of poetic writing. And well, I just got into the next verse, and now it's switching to a sort of religious allusion, isn't it? Which we also find in Alleluia. So let's keep going.
And Jesus was a sailor when he walked upon the water, and he spent a long time watching from his lonely wooden tower. And when he knew for certain only drowned.
So now I have to pause here because this is fresh in my mind. It came the first verse and I forgot already, but I want to say it now before I forget. I don't know, and it wasn't clear by what I read in the introduction. Is this song, is this the same song, the same melody that was written by this Judy Collins? Or is this Leonard Cohen's own musical songwriting to go with this poem? I don't know. It says it was recorded as a song by Judy Collins, and Cohen performed it as his debut single. I don't know. The reason I'm asking is because, going back to the one link I have with Leonard Cohen, and that is Alleluia, there are some very similar harmonic shifts happening, and even the melody writing has the same sort of... I'll talk more about it at the end because I'm saving it for then. But I'm saying that now because I'm wondering, is this Susan Collins writing like that too? Or does it just come out when Leonard Cohen sings and plays it? Or Judy Collins. Thank you. That corrected me. I'm curious. I might have to do a little bit of digging after I finish this recording, and maybe I'll let you know when we do the premiere this weekend.
Hour, and when he knew for certain only drowning men could see him, he said, all men will be sailors then until the sea shall free them. But he himself was broken long before the sky would open. Forsaken, almost human, he sank beneath your wisdom like a stone.
Ah, now it's a string orchestra. So we had beautiful... here's the choir again.
And you want to travel blind, and you think maybe you'll trust him, for he's touched your perfect body with his mind.
Interesting little...
Now Suzanne takes your hand and she leads you to the river. She is wearing rags and feathers from Salvation Army counters, and the sun pours down like honey on Our Lady of the Harbor. And she shows you where to look among the garbage and the flowers. There are heroes in the seaweed, there are children in the morning. They are leaning out for love, they will lean that way forever, while Suzanne holds the mirror.
I know that when you have a poet who's a master of stringing ideas and linking ideas together, sometimes the meaning is quite obscure, and this strikes me as one that could be taken that way. It could take a bit of unraveling to really get to the heart of it, text-wise. However, the idea that we find in this song, Suzanne, and it's brought out very strongly in this last verse, Suzanne is very possibly a homeless person. She's wearing rags and feathers from the Salvation Army counters. She lives down by the river. She certainly isn't somebody who has a normal place to live. And of course, there's the sexual suggestions and message in here as well. So that's probably how she's making money, possibly. I mean, all of this, it's painting a picture of somebody who society typically views as dirty, poor, should be avoided, kept out of the way. If you keep company with this person, you're either somebody who's from the Salvation Army, very charitable and doing your mission work, or you're somebody who is satisfying your sexual or other desires through her, but you're not necessarily somebody who, you're not keeping polite company. Let's just put it that way. It comes out very strongly in this last verse. But with all of this idea of filth and poverty and immorality that's being pushed to the center of our view, the music is giving us an incredibly peaceful and, we could say, pure feeling. And I think that's really eloquent. I'm not going to dig deep into the lyrics right here on the spot because I would need to take time to study and consider, and I'm not going to take all that time on the camera here. But this little idea, linked with the music that we're hearing, this beautiful, it's almost like a children's choir. It's female voices, and it's light, and it's the sort of thing you would hear in a cathedral space, or something that is conveying innocence and purity and beauty and all the best things in this world that are elevated, as people like to say. And it's as if the message that the music is bringing to this text, or the marriage of the music in the text, is that Suzanne is a worthy human being. Suzanne has a heart and soul just like the rest of us. And all of these appearances are purely external, they're circumstantial, but the music is telling us something else about Suzanne and about this person's relationship and interaction with Suzanne. It's kind of wiping away what society perceives as inappropriate or dirty, or at least should be kept on the sidelines, down by the harbor, the riffraff that hangs out down there doesn't necessarily have their own place to live. They wear donated clothing given out by charities. All of this. And listen to the music. What is the music saying about this? These people in this life. And it's a really beautiful thought, isn't it? And one that we should be reminded of, because we don't want to make the same mistake of just stereotyping and falling into the assumptions that society hands to us about people, about lives. And you have to admit the music is really, really sweet and beautiful, isn't it?
And she shows you where to look among the garbage and the flowers. There are heroes in the sea.
She's the one showing you where to
There are
look.
children in the
She's showing you where the heroes are, where the children,
for
the innocent lives are.
They will lean that way forever while Suzanne holds the mirror. And you want to travel with her, and you want
Everything
to
joins
travel
together.
blind, and you know you can trust her, for she's touched your perfect body with her mind.
And now suddenly, she's the one who's touched you. A truly beautiful piece of music, which takes simple ideas that are embedded in our cultural psyche, and weaves them together into an elaborate new sort of tapestry that takes us places and reveals things to us, puts things in a new light that we might not have thought about it quite that way without this kind of spinning and weaving of text, music, and sonic qualities.
Oh, hold on. I didn't tell you, but you will get to watch a surprise live version of it.
Hey.
And this is Judy, by the way.
Oh, okay. So it's Judy Collins and Leonard Cohen. This might be special.
Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her, and you know she's half crazy, but that's why you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China, and just when you mean to tell her that you have no love to give her, then she gets you on her wavelength, and she lets the river answer that you've always been her lover. And you want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you know she can trust you, for you've touched her perfect body with your mind.
And Jesus was a sailor when he walked upon the water. He spent a long time watching from a lonely wooden tower. And when he knew for certain only drowning men
Listening
could
to it
see
this
him,
time,
he said, all men
I start to
shall
feel
be
like this poem is about
saved.
the journey of
Till the
somebody
sea shall
coming to
free
a different
them, but he
view of a human being, because it starts the first verse and you know that she's half crazy, and then by the end of the song you have a different perspective.
And you want to travel with him, you want to travel blind, and you think maybe you'll trust him, for he's touched your perfect body with his mind.
Now Suzanne takes your hand, she leads you to the river. She's wearing rags and feathers from Salvation Army counters, and the sun pours down like honey on Our Lady of the Harbor, and she shows you where to look amid the garbage and the flowers. There are heroes
This Our Lady of the Harbor,
there are children in the morning. They
I almost feel like it's referencing again a religious idea of purity, as in Our Lady.
And you want to travel with her, you want to travel blind, and you know she will find you, for she's touched your perfect body with her mind.
That is a beautiful piece, and listening through the second time, I was getting more ideas about, well, okay, the music is very simple, isn't it? It's a simple harmonic progression, and I could easily play along with the harp, and maybe I'll do that in a minute just for fun for a few bars. But it's the simplicity that pulls us in and carries us along. But within that are the lyrics. And as I'm listening to the story, the music is wrapping us into this story and pulling us along through the story. And as I heard it the second time, these additional ideas came to me. This is the story of somebody changing their mind about a person. This is the story of somebody who, for whatever reason, followed this woman down to the edge of the water and didn't have any intention of developing any kind of relationship with her, because you know that she's half crazy. Stay away from that sort of person. And then she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China, and you are getting ready to tell her that no, we're not going to have any sort of relationship, no connection, nothing. I understand. We'll keep separate, and that's good. But something happens. She draws you into her world. She gets you on her wavelength, and the river casts its spell over you, carries you, answers for you. The river answers for you. I love that line. The river answers for you. Answers that you've always been her lover. In other words, the assumptions you had about her were not assumptions because you are an unkind person. They were just assumptions you had because you didn't know her and you came from a different world than she. But you actually have a heart that cares and loves, and so you've always been her lover, even though you viewed her as kind of untouchable, half crazy. Stay away. We'll keep our distance. We'll be civil, but that's all. And then the story goes on by jumping to a different idea altogether. Jesus was a sailor, and it starts talking about Jesus. When the story of Peter walking on the water, it doesn't even name Peter by name. It says when Jesus knew for certain that only drowning men would see him. Only drowning men would see him. Who sees this woman? Who does this woman see? And it blends all these ideas, and they start swirling together, and you start thinking, okay, wait, something's happening here. And by the third verse, after it describes her outfit, her attire, then it says the sun pours down like honey on Our Lady of the Harbor, and she shows you where to look. She is the revelation, the revealing element, the one who opens your eyes, not towards herself, but towards others. It has this very religious, pseudo-religious quality to it, and the idea of one's eyes being opened to see the truth of who others are, and the play on words and ideas. It swirls together just like water swirling down the river, and it's really beautiful. I have to say that I love it. I enjoy it. And I like the way the music doesn't get in the way of it. And that is something that is a very, very important thing. When you have a message that is perfectly presented in text, then the challenge is, how do we set this to music in a way that lifts it up and carries it without getting in the way? I also like the sort of ambiguity of the story. You can interpret it many different ways, and what I'm pulling out of it this time might be completely different from what I would think the next time I hear it, because it has this kind of watery quality where it shifts and changes according to the current and the mood. So really a lovely piece. Okay, now it's time for me to try playing along with this and have a bit of fun. So let's see how it goes. See if I can do this, follow the score and everything.
Suzanne takes you down to her place near the river. You can hear the boats go by. You can spend the night beside her, and you know she's half crazy, but that's why you wanna be there. And she feeds you tea and oranges that come all the way from China. And just when you mean to tell her that you have no love to give her, then she gets you on her wavelength, and she lets the river answer that you've always been her lover. And you want to travel with her, and you want to travel blind, and you know she will trust you, for you've touched her perfect body with your mind.
Isn't that nice? I think it would make a really nice instrument for a cover version of this. Maybe I should put that on my covers list. My first actual listening to Leonard Cohen himself singing his own music, his own poetry. I said I wasn't sure who composed this piece of music. Lovely anyway, wasn't it? And, well, it's a weekend of Leonard Cohen, so there's going to be another one coming. I'll see you soon.